Thanks so much for joining us today. As I said, my name is Todd, and I will be the facilitator of this session. I'm a program manager, and I look after the public relations program. And basically, my role is to look after curriculum and marketing and students and all sorts of things, but I do not teach any of the courses. So my role is almost like managing a small business, and really the most important, and the business being the program of public relations. And really the most important thing that I do is ensure that students have a really positive experience. So that's where I think I play the biggest part. We're very lucky today to have actually Cathy Cowan, who actually is an instructor, and she is owner of a company called Cowan and Company. And she's going to join us today and give some thoughts on her career, some advice to newcomers. She'll talk about some PR campaign that she worked on, which was kind of neat. And she'll also talk about some trends in the field. So you'll hear from her in a few minutes. But basically, that's the two of us will be doing the session today. So just a quick little agenda, just so you can kind of see what we're going to do. So we'll talk a bit about why York. We'll talk about the public relations program and some of the details in the program. We'll do a little Q&A with Cathy, and then I'll take people to our website and kind of explain how to apply or how to register. And then at the very end, we'll open it up for questions to everybody. So if you have questions, certainly feel free to put them in the Q&A box now. I'm happy to try and answer them, but most likely I won't see them until the very end. I may peek. I have two screens up, so if you see me looking over there, I promise I'm not checking my email. But I'm looking to see if people have any questions that might be relevant to what I'm talking about. Otherwise, at the very, very end, I'll answer all your questions. Okay, great. So why choose York? Why choose our program? So a few things I can just share with you. If you're not familiar with the university itself, obviously we're a fairly large university. I think we're the second largest in Ontario, the third largest in all of Canada. We have like 50,000 students. It's a very diverse campus with lots of international students. And the School of Continuing Studies fits within the university. And we offer certificate programs like public relations, which are really tied to career pathways. We've done a lot of research. As you know, we're not the only person that's out there that offers a PR program, but we really feel that it's a growing market. There's a lot of new jobs out there in public relations, and Cathy can sort of talk to this maybe a bit as well. And we felt that our program can be slightly different from some of the others in sort of having the focus of a little more digital, a little more storytelling, which is the course that Cathy actually will be teaching. So the program also offers, it's a cohort-based program. And what I mean by that is that students take the first course, take the second course, take the third course as a group. So lots of opportunities for networking, lots of opportunities for having a nice support group for studying, for even socializing and things like that. So we feel that's really a benefit for our program, because again, we also know that students are moving through this program. They're all getting the same information at the same time, so you can kind of build on the learning and even sort of having some real life projects that in some cases may sort of carry from one course to the next. So lots of reasons why we think our program is going to be really strong. We're really excited to be launching it in September. I should also say the program itself was really helped developed by a group of industry professionals. So we look to industry folks to sort of help us decide what's really the skills and the knowledge that are important for PR practitioners today. And we try to build the program around those sort of areas. So we didn't just look at other programs and say, hey, let's have those same courses, but we actually looked at what was happening currently, what are the trends, and making sure that we can incorporate that into our program so that you as a graduate can really move on to sort of the work world and be best prepared to add value when you get into that job. I won't go through all the courses in detail on our website, which I'll show you at the end. I can share more about where to find some descriptions and things like that, but I will say there are 8 courses. There's like basically a fundamentals class. There's the content creation, strategic messaging, and storytelling class, which is one that Cathy is currently developing and will teach. There's an integrated marketing strategies class, so you'll see that PR kind of fits in with, in many cases, the overall marketing plan. It's sort of a part of marketing in many ways, so sort of understanding how it aligns. Obviously, understanding about planning in a strategic way, research, how to measure what you do to make sure it's successful, because obviously if it's in a business setting, everybody wants to talk about ROI, which is return on investment. So if you're doing some sort of PR campaign or something, you want to make sure that it's going to add value back to the company in a monetary way. So maybe it's changing perception, maybe it's adding value in other ways, but you need to sort of measure that. Obviously, internal communications and change management is important, and also looking at stakeholders. So it's not just looking at media relations; it's all stakeholders. It can be influencers and engaging with the community to do social outreach. So lots of components of the stakeholder relations and community engagement, which really is a big component of public relations. And obviously the one that people probably know most and what you see in the media, which is reputation management in crisis. And all you have to do is pick up the newspaper, and every day there's a new organization or new person that's dealing with a crisis where they need professionals to help them kind of guide their way through that. And the last course is around, it's called PR in Practice, and it's really giving you an opportunity to learn what it's like to really be in the trenches in PR. And we're going to try and do our best to sort of simulate that experience, so that again, when you get to the internships or the work placement and you get out to a real job, you'll have a better understanding of what that life is like. So the work placement, again, most people sort of said it was very important or somewhat important. So I'll just kind of walk through the placement just to give you a better sense, because I think that's an important part of the program. So the actual work placement is optional, as I said earlier. So it's not a requirement. If you choose not to do it, that's fine. There is a fee attached to it, so you have to pay a fee to participate in it, and you don't get paid to do the work placement. So think of it almost like it's a course, but you're actually doing that course in an organization to learn about the field of PR and putting your skills to work. We'll certainly, have in contacts that we're reaching out to, and we're networking now to sort of build those relationships. So you'll have somewhere you can sort of reach out to and apply for that work placement. But you can certainly find it on your own, which I know from other sort of schools out there, that's something that certainly happens. So if you have something that you feel this is an area you want to get into, or a company you know, and this is maybe a good stepping stone, that's certainly fine. We are working with the YU Experience Hub, and they're on campus. And what they'll do is they'll sort of offer students opportunities to have workshops in resume writing and interview skills, and preparing you to be successful in the job field. So again, you're not going to just do this on your own. You'll have some real support to make sure you are successful, which is really what's most important. You will apply directly to organizations to get hired, so we won't just be handing you and say, okay, tomorrow you show up at this company, and Sally, you show up in this company. You do need to apply to those companies and get hired just like you would in the real world. So we may have 3 or 4 people applying for the same position, and only one may get it. So that's why, again, preparing for that is really important. The work placement happens afterwards in terms of doing all the coursework, so you'll have a better understanding about PR. And then you'll actually spend about 8 weeks pretty much full time working in the organization and really immersing yourself and hopefully adding lots of value. For international students, so this may be a question that comes up later, so I can explain it more if I need to, but really for international students, because the program is optional, the way it works is this. So as you may know, as you complete our 1-year academic program in public relations, that entitles you to get a 1-year work permit, which is 12 months long. The work placement is 2 months. So because it's unpaid and because it's actually not required, those 2 months will actually be deducted from the 12 months. So at the end of the work placement, you'll only have 10 more months available to do work where you get paid for it. So just keep that in mind. It's not like it gets added on to the year-long work visa. It gets deducted. Hopefully that made sense. If people have questions, certainly send me a note and I can do my best to explain that differently. So let me just give you a quick little sample of what a schedule looks like. So you can see from this, as I mentioned before, there's a cohort. So same students in the same course. It's also the same days of the week for the entire duration, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's the same time for the duration of the program and the same room. So you can really plan your schedule accordingly. If you have other commitments, if you're working a part-time job, you've got sort of other family obligations. And you can see here on Monday, you're in fundamentals of PR. You're in the same class on Wednesday. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, you're in a different course, content creation. Each course will last for 6 weeks, and there are 12 sessions. So if you think about that, for the traditional program, which is, one time a month, one time a week for a whole semester, you still get the same number of contact hours, which in this case is 36 hours. So 12 sessions times 3 hours each session is 36. We've just accelerated it a little bit to take those classes and do them a little more quickly. There is an application program for this. So everybody's required to apply. You need a degree or a college diploma. You need a statement of interest, and international students need a minimum of a 6.0 in their IELTS or higher. The statement of interest is really important. So again, really take your time writing that, because I want to make sure that students have a real motivation to participate in the program versus just doing it, especially for international students. Sometimes you want to make sure that motivation aligns with the program. Okay, before I jump to Cathy, I'm just going to take a second. There's a question. Let me just look at the question and see if it's a quick answer. Otherwise, I'll jump to Cathy and get to her. Okay, so Chris, I think I may have just answered your question just here about it's an in-person program. It's not online. And the schedule, I'm pretty certain it's 3:30 to 6:30, so you can balance your other responsibilities between in the mornings, and obviously on Friday there's no class. So I think I answered your question. If not, send me another quick note. Cool, glad I answered it. Awesome. Okay, so let me turn Cathy's mic on so we can hear her. Okay, so you should now be able to hear Cathy. Cathy, you there?
Can you see me? There we go.
Yes, I can see you and I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, good.
So I'll turn my camera off so no one, look at me while Cathy's sharing her wisdom and insights. So I'm going to do this as a Q&A, so I'll ask Cathy some questions and then she will share the answers. And then at the end, Cathy will be available to stay on as long as we need and answer all your questions as well. So really the first question I wanted to pose to Cathy is just to maybe for her to share some of her background and sort of how she got into her role, which is owning her own sort of agency.
Great. Hi, everyone. I have always been in PR my entire career. I think I was one of the few people in high school who knew I wanted to get into PR. I was always that girl who was on student council, organizing the dances, doing the balloonograms, all of that stuff. I loved that. So when I found out I could actually make a job and a career out of that and get paid to do all that stuff that I love to do anyways, I was so excited. And I was really fortunate that I sort of built on that extracurricular activities into, I got some nonprofit positions, contract jobs in PR after I did my undergrad, and then kind of built from there. So after doing nonprofit PR for a couple of years, I desperately wanted to get into a PR agency job. So I applied to hundreds of agencies until one finally took me. And that's been over 20 years that I've been working in PR agencies in Toronto, which I love. And just in case you're not familiar with PR agencies are kind of like advertising agencies, except we focus on PR and not advertising. So what that means is we work with a variety of different clients. So over the years, I've worked with companies including L'Oreal Paris, Jameson Vitamins, Nintendo, Eastside Mario's, all sorts of really fun, cool, interesting brands and people. So the variety of experiences has been amazing. And for me in particular, PR really focusing on media relations, event planning, influencer relations, social media, crisis communications. It's one of the things I personally love about PR is the variety of different services and skills it involves, and that there's never a day that's the same, which I absolutely love.
Sorry, I turned my mic off. I'll repeat my question there. That was great. Thanks, Cathy. So can you maybe share a bit about some of the trends you're seeing in the field of PR now?
Sure, there are a lot of them. I think two of the top ones, one, as the screen says, is the rise in social media. I think if you are looking or considering getting into PR right now, you definitely want to have your finger on the pulse of social media. Likely a lot of you do anyways. There's certainly a driving force in PR. We do a lot of work with influencers, which is what we call people who are, blogging or on Instagram or YouTubers who are really, really have that sphere of influence that brands and companies are looking for. So I think, over the last few years, as social media has become more prevalent and those influencers have become more impactful, that is certainly a new direction in PR that has had a lot of focus and a lot of excitement in the industry, which is certainly one of the big trends that we're seeing these days. And then the second trend that I think is really important to note as well, and if you're interested in media, this is something hopefully you're in tune with and you've probably noticed, but there's been so much consolidation of media with magazines that are merging together, newspapers that are merging or closing, and with that consolidation of media means that really the PR professionals need to be a lot smarter in how we're approaching media and how we're helping our clients and employers to tell their stories. So I think that has really evolved the industry, because you need to be smarter in how you're approaching these things if you want to get the results that we know we can get in PR. So I think those are the two. There's lots of trends in PR, but I think those are two of the most noteworthy for sure.
Great. I thought it might be interesting and fun for you to share a bit. I know we talked about this before, but if you can just sort of share a campaign you worked on and kind of helping, these folks who are on the call today, or maybe they're new in some cases to PR, sort of what really you've done, and sort of obviously L'Oreal and TIFF are two big organizations that most people should be aware of. So maybe just share a bit about the campaign and your role as a PR practitioner.
For sure. So I've been really fortunate to get to work on a lot of really wicked campaigns. This one for L'Oreal Paris was definitely a highlight. I think we worked with them for about 6 years on their sponsorship of the Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF for short. And so really the purpose of that sponsorship for L'Oreal Paris was promoting the brand, but also promoting their products. So we did an integrated campaign that involved many different facets, all of them really super fun. So just to give you some examples of some of the tactics that we employed, we did a big media and influencer event each year where we would bring some of the L'Oreal Paris spokespeople. So here's a picture of Carly Kloss. She was one of the spokespeople we brought in for an event. And this event we did at a penthouse condo, $10 million penthouse condo in downtown Toronto. And we had Carly there, and we had, I think, about 80 media and influencers there to talk about this new superstar mascara that we were launching at the same time. So you can see the play on how we were building the products as well as the L'Oreal Paris brand. And we also had every year we would have a celebrity come, so Julianne Moore, Frida Pinto. So great fun in terms of generating those events and getting the coverage behind it to talk about the products and the brand. But some of the other things we did around TIFF is we did VIP events for media and influencers, where in the other corner you can see a photo of the red carpet. We would have them come and watch the red carpet festivities before each premiere, and we would often showcase new products at that event, at those events as well, that we would run twice a night. And then some of the other activities we would do is we would have a mobile hair and makeup teams who would go around to all the celebrities and do their hair and makeup before they would walk the red carpet. So that would give us more content that we profiled on social media and through traditional media relations activities as well. So that's a really big campaign, certainly a really fun campaign. But just to give you an example of sort of the different types of activities that we do in PR, and certainly that was a highlight for a number of years for sure.
Super cool. It's, you don't really think about how much sort of happens behind the scenes of all these events, and I've been part of events, not from a public relations perspective, but I find all that stuff really fascinating. So thanks for sharing that. The other thing I wanted to just wonder if you maybe just talk a bit about, just as I assume, again, not having too much information about all the people that are on our call today, but I assume most of them are fairly new to the field of PR, obviously. So if you can maybe give them some advice as a newcomer, what are some of the things that they should be thinking about as they sort of launch into this new career?
Absolutely. I think I'm fortunate to get to talk to students fairly often. So the advice I always give is the two most important things. One is PR school is imperative these days, post-grad programs. When I graduated, it wasn't, but now you really need that to get your foot in the door at any agency and most companies. So I would say that the PR certificate is imperative. And my second best piece of advice that I always give, and I hope people take it because it's how I got my start, is volunteering is key. So if you want to build your resume, and it's hard when you don't have any experience to get your foot in the door, it's easy to get volunteering positions. Go and volunteer with an organization to help them with the PR. Write a press release, help them organize events, do some fundraising for them. It gives you some experience. It sets you apart from your competition, but also it helps you kind of get familiar with, is this something really you want to be doing for the rest of your life? Is this a career that you want to pursue? And by volunteering with organizations, you get a feel for it, and it also sets you above other people when it comes to getting that first job. So whether you're volunteering for a nonprofit organization, whether you're volunteering at school, there's lots of opportunities to get out there and volunteer in a PR role and get involved and get some experience for your resume. So that's like my number one thing always is volunteer, volunteer, volunteer.
I'm just going to add to that because I think the field of PR is pretty vast, and there's so many little areas you can go down. If it's media or social media, if it's events, if it's there's whatever it is. So the more you can sort of volunteer and understand what those things are, the better off you can sort of apply for jobs which really fit your interests, because sometimes they are a little more specialized and sometimes they're sort of general and broad. So again, the more you can sort of connect to real life of what you're actually doing, you may be, oh my God, I don't like event planning, or you might be like, I love event planning. So the more you can sort of volunteer and do those things, I think the more knowledge you'll have to sort of find your way.
Absolutely. And that's why I think the work placement is so important as well. Having that structured opportunity to get in and get some work experience and see which areas you like and build up your resume. It's so important.
Can I just, we didn't rehearse this part, but can you maybe just share a little bit about your course? Maybe just give a little snapshot into what they can expect from the course, just to sort of understand what it's, because it's a lot of programs have a PR writing class, and this is actually a little bit different because it'll include writing, but it has a little bit of a different sort of flavor. So maybe you can share a bit more about what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in the process of developing the course materials right now, which is so exciting because it means everything that we're teaching is going to be totally current. And in storytelling, that's especially important because the style of writing and digesting media has changed so much in the last few years with social media. So it's awesome. It's going to be really designed with today in mind and not like 20 years ago in mind. So for the storytelling course that I'm developing, really at the heart of it is key message development, because it's great if you've got a lot of nice words on a page, but if you don't have a strong message, if you don't really understand what you're trying to say, you're not going to maximize your communication opportunities. So at the heart of it is developing key messages, understanding what key messages are, understanding the different channels that you have in PR, because it's not just the newspaper, it's not just a website. There's so many different vehicles that we have. So it's understanding how to tell stories across all of those different channels, whether it's YouTube or TV interview or what have you. So there's a lot of variety in it that way. So one of the focuses of the storytelling program is, in addition to sort of understanding key messages as well as all the PR channels, is it's going to be a really hands-on course. So my goal and all of our goals at the end is to enable you to create a number of items to put in your portfolio. So when you finish the storytelling course, if you decide to take it, you'll have multiple samples of different kinds of communications that you'll be able to talk to and showcase when you go to get that job, which I think is so important to have that portfolio that you're starting to build right away.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. So Cathy's going to stay on with us until the very end. So if people have questions, certainly post them in the question box, and then obviously I'll go through them and she can respond to the ones that are specific to her or more to the field, since I'm not a PR practitioner. Okay, I've got a couple more things I want to share with you. I'll turn my camera back on, mute Cathy for now. Okay, great. Well, thanks for that, Cathy. That was really terrific. So I just wanted to take you as a last part just to our website. I assume most of you have been there if you've seen this, if you signed up for our webinar today, but I'll just take you there anyway, just to sort of show you in case you couldn't find some stuff. Sometimes it's not easy to find stuff. You would think it'd be easier, but sometimes it's not. So I'll just sort of give you a little tour of where to find information. So So just bear with me for a sec as I get off of this and I get to our website. So I think everyone can see our website here, and I'm actually just on the public relations page. So on the main page, you sort of probably saw this image earlier today. There's some quotes from instructors. There's some quotes from some advisory board members, some of the topics and things you'll cover, a bit about the program delivery being finished within about 8 months, full-time in class. Here's a list of our advisory board instructors, so you can kind of see all their names and the companies they work for. There's a list of our instructors, and there's Cathy right there. Looks like not everybody has a bio yet, but I'll sort of get on that. And then obviously all the policies. And if you're looking to apply, you can go to the enroll button, and you'll sort of see there's the apply button. You can click on that and obviously follow the steps to apply. But if you click on the link itself, you'll actually get to all of the courses and a small little description and the dates and stuff, so you kind of know when things are happening and what courses are happening when. So again, I won't go through that now, but you can kind of have a look at it and see exactly. The program will end the sort of first or so, second week of April, and then after that, the work placement will start, and the goal is everyone will start the placement soon after. And if it takes people a bit longer, that's okay too, but the goal is to start that around end of April, early May. If you have questions, the best person to talk to is our team, and there's a little form you can fill out, which is fine, but I'll also go back to, I'll close that for a second. But I'll show you one last slide as we do the Q&A, which has all our contact information, so you can write that down if you need to. The other thing I was just going to point out is just the fees. So the fee is there for the program, and you can obviously, you pay for the program as one full cohort. You don't pay for each course as you go. So just be aware of that. Okay, awesome. So let's go back to my PowerPoints. Okay, so that's sort of the end of our presentation. We're a few minutes long, so hopefully that's okay. But Cathy and I are here. I'll turn Cathy's mic back on, and we're happy to answer all your questions. I don't see any questions yet, but if you have some questions, I can certainly stay on as long as needed. So like I said, just post all your questions and we'll answer them straight away. You may all know this, but this is a new program. It's launching in September. So the students who are participating will be part of the first cohort, which is pretty exciting. My goal is to have 20 students, so it'll be pretty small, which will allow people to really get to interact with the other students, with the instructor. And really a program like this, as Cathy said, is very hands-on. Hopefully there'll be lots of opportunities to sort of practice what you're learning, use real life examples. So that's our hope, and that's the sort of mindset we're taking as we develop the program. Great, Chris said he enjoyed the program. I appreciate that. Thanks very much. Still no questions though. No worries. I'm happy to stay on for as long as people need, but I'll kind of hang on for another little bit if people are still typing. Otherwise, just want to say thank you very, very much to everybody for joining us today. A big thanks to Cathy for taking time out of her day and sharing some insights. That was really quite special, so appreciate that. All right, guys, thanks again for joining us today. If people have any questions, the best person to reach out to is Morgan. She's the advisor. Allison's the registration coordinator, so she can answer questions around the process of registering or payments and things like that. And if you need me, best to sort of go through Morgan, and she can forward any contacts or any questions that she needs help with. Oh, yes, Andrea has a question. Thanks, Andrea. We'll wait for your question. Andrea's asking if there's an option for a reduced course load with students with disabilities. Very good question. So basically the way it works is you'd have to be assessed by the Office of Student Accessibility, and then whatever sort of accommodation they make for you, we would certainly abide by. So if the option is to sort of take one course at a time versus two based on your accommodation, then we'd have to sort of make that work. It would just mean that your program would last quite long, because the next offering of the program won't be until next September. There is no winter intake, and I did that purposely just because I wanted to get through the whole program once before we have a second cohort. I just want to make sure we get it right before we start bringing a second group of students on. So running through the whole program once will really give us a chance to kind of evaluate things. And then next fall, we'll do it again. And then we'll start to have a fall and a winter every year. But yeah, I mean, from my perspective, whatever it takes for you to be successful, but it has to be with the disability office, the student accessibility office making that recommendation, then we'd have to abide by it. If the recommendation is for you to have more time on your exams, sure. If it's to have extra help somewhere else, not a problem. Legally, we have to sort of abide by that. So whatever they say goes, and my job is to make sure you're successful. So hopefully, Andrew, that answers your question. If you have specific details on that, Andrew, and you want to chat with me offline, feel free to sort of send a note to Morgan, and she can forward you on to me, and we can certainly have a conversation. Yes. So yeah, so we don't have our own separate accessibility office here through the School of Continuing Studies. It's the York Accessibility Office. So you'd want to work with them, or at least meet with them if I'm not sure if you're a current York student or not. But if you're not, you'd have to meet with them, and then they would assess what accommodations you need. And then, like I said, we'd abide by them. Legally, we have to. Yeah, perfect. So if you're familiar with them. So yeah, whatever they say pretty much goes. Okay, any other questions? If not, then I will say goodbye, and again, say thanks to everybody for joining us. Cathy, any last words?
Oh, I hope to see y'all in my course.
There you go. That's perfect. Me too. All right, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thanks again for sticking around, and hopefully you'll consider joining our program. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Cathy.